All right. Well, here we are, both of us in Huntsville this time. I'm here with Taylor
Uh,
McClendon. How are you today with your beautiful new haircut?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am lovely. How are you today?
Oh, very well. It's not yet. I
Good.
like that it's warm, but it's been raining for the last 2 days, and that's a touch disappointing. But that's okay. I'm going back to Canada tomorrow, so I'm enjoying every little bit of warmth that I can get.
It's at least with the rain, it's still warm.
Right. So on this visit, I wanted to tell you about food because you can't come to Alabama and not sample some of the foods you don't have. And last week, you had done your homework, and you'd gone to try those fluffy pancakes at Fluffy Fluffy. So of course, when we got here with my daughter this time, then we went and had some. And I just want to say that as someone who's never had anything like it, it is something. I'm now I'm going to make it my mission to bring them up to Canada because it's something that people ought
Right,
to try at the very least once in their life. So we had the classic one or the signature. I forget which it was, but it was just nice with like strawberries and some little cream and stuff. But it's an interesting cross between, what'd you say, a pancake, a
a
souffle, and a
souffle.
cake.
Yes, yes, yes. I think that hits it on the head there. It's very interesting for sure.
Hmm. And the other thing that I also discovered, although I should have known this earlier, it's just maybe I wasn't paying attention. I was at Gold Sprint, which is one of our favorite coffee shops in Low Mill, and I have a
Agreed.
sandwich, and the fellow asks, "Well, what would you like on the side? We have chips, and then you can have this, and the other thing." And then he says, or cowboy caviar, and my ear perked up. I said, "Pardon? What is that?"
What
And
is
it turns
this?
out,
What are you
so
speaking
it's
of?
and it's a bit of a bean salad, and they call it cowboy caviar. So I looked this up, and now there's all kinds of debates online as to whether or not this is cultural appropriation because it's kind of like a Mexican salad. But they also make it in Texas and they make it in Alabama.
Right,
So now I
it's
have to ask you: is this cultural appropriation, or am I safe if I just call it
I
cowboy
think
caviar?
cowboy caviar. I mean, you can call it Indian beans and grains, I don't care. But it's a Texan food for us here in the United States. It's a black-eyed pea. And I think those are, across the board. I don't think they lend themselves to just one culture or the other. So I think you're safe with the cowboy caviar.
Okay. I feel like it's kind of
Not
like
to
French fries. You don't have to be in France to enjoy French
Right,
fries,
to
right?
have French fries, right? Let's just toughen up about it. We'll all be okay. But I
Uh-huh.
want you to get it. There's so many different ways you can have it, and I'm sure it was delicious at Gold Sprint. Everything is, but I've had it. We'll make it as a dip, with Fritos.
Ooh. Mm.
It's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
So many ways for the cowboy caviar, other than just a side with your sandwich.
Mm-hmm. And good. And while I was at Low Mill, I also went to my favorite meadery, which is this little place. It's called Ravenwood. It's
Yes.
upstairs by Dragon Forge Cafe, for those of you who know Low Mill. And there's a fellow there who makes artisanal mead, which is kind of a wine made with fermented honey instead of grapes.
Right, right.
And other flowers and things and all kinds of herbs and whatnot. And he can tell you, and he will talk to you all day if you let him, about how the honey is harvested, where exactly it is, and what kind of flowers that the bees will go and take the pollen from. Anyway, so the one I tried this time was dandelion mead.
Mm,
And so,
all
and it
right.
was a discovery for me, and I enjoyed that very much. So I always put in a plug for low mill commerces and places to see because it's just one of the best places about Huntsville. And I know you're there too. So tell me what you're working on this week.
Well, I have got to ask, like, just because we came off the, what we should call things with the cultural appropriations, but dandelions in the South are weeds. When I see a
Right,
dandelion in my yard, that's a weed.
right.
So would that be weed mead? Is that what we would
I
call it?
guess it could
So it
be,
could
I
be weed
suppose.
mead. Right.
I
Yeah.
suppose it could be, but it is true that you
Yes.
can make wine even with dandelion, or you can also make jam and salads. So
Right.
they are a weed,
Huh.
but you can eat them.
Weed.
And I guess if you're
Right.
really
All
that
right.
desperate, you didn't know that, right?
Good to know. Right. In case
You
we
have
get
a
into
lot.
the apocalypse. Right.
You
I have
never
a
know,
lot in my
but
yard for sure. Yes.
with what's going on in the world, like yeah,
You
we
never
better you just
know.
never know. Speaking of that,
Kudzu
I
is
hope
also one that we can eat.
That's true. Yeah. And before we get to your work, since we're on the apocalypse, I mean, clearly it was Easter this past weekend. I even met people here in downtown Huntsville who were visiting from Kentucky to go to some church thing for Easter. And I thought that's kind of weird. Shouldn't it be like
Right.
the other way around? Because Huntsville, I mean, I know it's Alabama, it's the Bible Belt. There's a lot of churches here, but I never really got the feeling that this town was especially biblical. Like it was not, that was not, you don't come here for the
So
church services, I thought. But I guess I
you,
stand corrected.
yes, in the South, you go home for Easter. It's just like Christmas. Um, and that might be one of the two times you go to church a
Huh?
year for the Baptist here, but you're coming for the food. Easter food follows right up with Christmas, and you have your hams and your potato salads and your green bean casseroles, and you put the full spread out.
Is that what you had?
So it, yes, we did Family Day on Sunday, so we did go to Gadsden. We did not attend church,
Hmm.
but we did have our big Easter get together. And, it's just a good holiday to get together and love on each other.
Oh, and why not?
Yeah, right.
And
You only get one family, and so we had our biological family and our chosen family, and
hmm
we didn't have that. I hate to say it, but that bitch my uncle was married to. This was the first Easter she wasn't at, so it
oh,
was just amazing.
was she there in spirit in the sense of everyone talking badly about her, or is he just
No,
not?
she
No, you
wasn't
were free.
mentioned one time. It
Oh.
was just like we were free of this demon. But over the Easter weekend, you know that JD Vance visited the Pope.
So I'm a lapsed Catholic, and so potpourris are things that I'm used to. And of course, even if
Yeah,
you're no longer a member of that church, and it's been a long time for me, it's still there's still. I mean, that's how I was brought up, right? So when
that's right.
it touches you in ways that are hard to describe. And Francis, as popes go, was an okay one. I thought
Yes,
he
he
showed
was.
enough mercy and sympathy and openness and tolerance for other folks, including gays and lesbians and trans people. He did not shun anybody. He would welcome
No, all the
LGBTQ
marginalized
folks.
groups.
That's right. Two services if they wanted
Mhm.
to, which got him in some hot waters with other members of the church. So now I'm a little bit afraid of
Right.
who might take his place because the church may just say, "Oh, enough of this liberal kind of poping stuff. Let's go back to a
They could,
more."
but he appointed 105, if I'm not mistaken, bishops.
Hmm.
So those are bishops that kind of saw things through his eyes. I hope. I
Yeah,
hope they don't revert back. My
me
question
too.
is, he had survived so much. He had been so sick.
Hmm.
And then JD Vance went over there and
I
visited him, and
know.
it just sent him right over the edge. I
I
think
think he's
America needs to
dangerous.
take I think America needs to take responsibility for this. JD Vance is, the couch cushion bandit. We need to keep him in the US. Don't let him travel.
You're so bad you're good. It's the best meme I saw. The best meme I saw. But Mae West used to say this. She would say, "When I'm bad, I'm bad." No, she said, "When
I'm
I'm good,
bad.
sorry, when I'm good, I'm good.
When
But
I'm
when
good,
I'm
I'm
bad,
bad.
I'm better." Yeah, she
Right.
said,
But
"When
it's
she's bad, she's
truthful.
better."
Like
Hmm.
he went through so much, and then he and his wife show up,
Yeah.
and then there he goes.
Yeah, the best meme I saw this weekend, Christy Nome, who was governor of was
Bless
it
her heart.
anyway, I forget
Bless her
somewhere
heart.
I forget which state in the Midwest. I apologize for that. But she's now the Secretary of Homeland Security, and in her
Right.
autobiography, had confessed to killing a hunting dog because the dog was not very good at
Yes.
hunting. Got in all kinds of like, duh, obviously, of all kinds of trouble over like, could you not, I don't know, rehome this dog? Like, if this is not a hunting dog, that's fine. You don't have to keep the dog as a
Right.
hunting dog, but don't just shoot it. Anyway, so the meme was that her saying, I confess to killing a dog, and JD Vance next to her saying, hold my beer. I'm gonna go.
That's
Yeah.
fair. But you know what? I believe she was the one that got her designer handbag stolen this weekend.
I know,
And
like, where
she
was
had,
security? Like, what kind of gong show is going on over there?
right, what in the hell are y'all doing in Washington? Like she has a designer bag. She's at not a fancy restaurant in Washington. She's got her kids and her husband, cash, passport, all of her IDs right in her bag and lets it get snatched right. out from under her feet. Not that it couldn't happen, but I'm just like, guys,
But
really?
don't
This
don't
is
these
what
people have Secret Service with them?
I,
If you
we're paying for it,
presumably,
but I
right?
mean, right, right. And I was just like, you know what?
Yeah,
Karma's a bitch.
it
Yeah,
is. Also, I guess you
it
take your
is.
directions from the top, and at the top we know what there is. So I guess it's a bit of a. We shouldn't
Right.
be surprised that it's a circus act.
But no, but I will ask because she killed a dog because it couldn't perform its job. What about the secretary of what's his name? Oh, Hegseth.
Mm-hmm.
He can't do
Defense.
his job either.
Well, not without his
Yes.
wife and his son, apparently. He was again in hot water for
Right.
having
This
shared
is
some highly classified stuff. So there are rumors now
docu
that they're looking for a new Secretary of Defense. So somebody was
there are
commenting on,
rumblings.
on my Twitter feed. Somebody said, "Can I apply on Indeed? Like, is this like an open source? Can we apply on any network?
You know,
Just because
like
since you guys are
we'll
out
take
there."
whatever. It
Mm-hmm.
can't get much worse. You know, we've got
Right?
a Fox TV host, like
Mm-hmm.
in the most important job in America, I
Mm-hmm.
think under the president, and we've got this uh, lepton. You know, like well,
What's a
who
lepton?
thought this was a good idea? A lepton is the smallest particle. It's smaller than a proton. It's smaller than a neutron. It's a lepton, like lepton brained, just
Okay. I'll
idiot.
put a link because if I didn't know this, I'm gonna bet I can't. I'm not the only one who didn't know this.
Yeah,
I'll put a link to that because we provide education and entertainment as well as news about
right.
Alabama
The
and
more you
Canada. We
know.
do everything
Right.
over here. And I wanted to give you a bit of an update on, so we're to timestamp this. We're recording this on Tuesday. April Earth Day, April 22nd. And so
Yay.
there's like, oh, 6 days left to our campaign. We're voting on Monday. And today,
Yay.
the Conservative Party, which is the main opposition party, released their platform with a fully costed, which I call a bullshit expression anyway, because they could do whatever they want once they're in office, but they still have like numbers attached to their promises today. Anyway,
Hmm.
they released it today with 6 days to go before the vote. And I'm thinking, why this early? Like seriously, it's never been this late in the
Wow.
campaign to release your promises with a financial framework attached to it. So now people are going over and I haven't read it yet. I haven't had a chance yet to read it, but there's already some criticism out there. One policy that I happen to notice, and I'm curious what you think of that, in the conservative campaign is to say that most of the jobs in the federal public service, which is in my town in Ottawa, should not require a university degree as entry level. And we should open this up to more people with like a junior degree or junior college kind of thing or high school
Hmm.
diploma
Right.
to get in. And I'm thinking, well, it can't work for everything. Clearly, there are things like if you're going to be a government biologist, then you should have some kind of degree in biology, I'm guessing. But if you're going
Fair.
in as a clerk or in administrative, communications or something like that, then maybe you don't need a university degree in communications. So I'm like, okay, I can kind of meet him part of the way there.
Halfway. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because sometimes you
Yeah.
have kids who are super imaginative and great and skillful, but they don't necessarily have that one degree, that 4 year degree. And
Right.
why
And
not? Hmm.
if you had a 2-year business degree, you know, I
Right.
mean, I think that gives you enough background that you could get in there and work your way up. You know, I
Exactly.
think
Hmm.
own site, own hands-on experiences worth its weight in gold, you know?
Okay. So I'm glad we've got this on the record. So now when people say, oh,
Yeah.
you two liberal people and two left wing and woke folks and so on, we could point them to
Well,
April 22nd, 2025, when we endorse the conservative policy right there on the fly.
on the fly, you know, this we both agree on it, you know. It's
There you go.
um you
Unanimous
know,
endorsement.
and I wish we could get we talked about it before, the lottery here for 2-year
Hmm.
education because in Alabama it's such a hands-on state. It's a lot of blue collar, it's a lot of factory. But if you could get these 2-year degrees in, you know, the HVAC, the welding, what
Hmm.
these kids are going to use, you know, and
Hmm.
I think it would serve them better
Yeah. Or
than
even
any
marketing,
four.
communications. There's some 2 year degrees in those fields as well. It's not just
Right,
blue
right,
collar.
right.
There's a lot of white
No, it's not
collar
blue
type.
collar,
That's
but
right.
Alabama's very blue collar anywhere you
Hmm.
go, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
I guess Huntsville would be a little different, but most cities, especially the smaller cities, they rely on uh, big industry.
Hmm. And they have all kinds
So
of jobs available, so why not? So I asked
yeah,
you a question earlier, and then we got sidetracked because we're like that. But what are you
what
working on? Your
happens?
mural?
So no, we'll start the mural hopefully at the 1st of May.
Okay.
It will be to date the largest mural at Low Mill. We've got a boom that comes in. It's got the four tires and it'll lift you up and out. And the highest point will be 36 feet off the ground. So
Hmm.
you can see it from when you walk out, literally my front door or the front door of Gold Sprint. It'll be at the end of Ninth Street. So it will change the landscape of the neighborhood, which I'm really excited to be a part of.
So what's it gonna
We're
look like? Do we get a little preview? Little exclusive
So I
preview?
don't have a little preview just
Oh,
yet, but
okay.
it will stay in line, with my big whimsy hands like you see,
Hmm. Hmm.
and my backdrops. So we're going to be very hands-on that way. So excited to see what's coming. We've got our insurance. I've just got to get the boom truck in here, and then we'll be ready to get started. Hopefully at the 1st of the month. So
Excellent. Because I'm coming back in June, so
yes.
I'm gonna see something, right?
So
Maybe I'll take
yeah,
pictures.
you can take pictures then. It'll be finished for sure. Um,
Yay. That's
Yay.
exciting.
So
Yeah.
always something going on in West Huntsville.
Good. So when we talk again, you and I on Monday next week, 28th, will be voting day. So we'll see at that point
Exciting.
later in the evening what it's looking like. But at the moment, it looks like pretty much what I told you last week. So we're headed for the what we hope is going to be the best team to negotiate or face off with your chief executive and try to
Mm,
get the best trade deals and other protections in place for Canada and Canadians, and working with Europeans also, and other anybody really outside of the United States, because we love you and everything, but can't rely on you. That's unfortunate.
that's right. We're being
Hmm.
a little wish-washy these days. So
Hmm.
let me ask you something about because I really don't understand the way that your election system works there. But you said that they just put out their framework,
Hmm.
their financial framework 6 days before.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously ours comes out, early in the campaign when there's all this debating going on and you've got all these people in the ring and they've got their theories. So you hear all about it throughout the campaign. Not that it doesn't change when they get
Hmm.
there, but
Hmm.
6 days, that's kind of last minute, isn't it?
Well, the Liberals were way ahead. See, they came out with theirs on Saturday. So
Oh,
that's that's like
so
9 days. Yeah, like
okay,
eight
so
and a
that's
half,
that,
really.
that's a standard thing
Hmm.
there.
Yeah, the Green
Okay,
Party was out. Oh, I don't even
interesting.
know. It was like I think at least 2 weeks ago, I want to say, the Green Party. But
Okay.
the Green Parties will possibly elect two representatives if they're good this time out of 300 and over 340. So they don't really, they don't stand a chance. But they're a good party. They're good to have because they're the green conscience of the parliamentarians. And but yeah, of the two parties that could form the next government, they were both last minute. Now your system, because you have fixed election dates, there's a cycle. There's an election cycle, and it always starts a primary start
Eh,
at this time, and it goes from
Right,
this
right,
state to
right.
that state to this other. And so you've gotten into more of a routine that way. But because we're in a parliamentary system, we don't have a fixed election dates, even though we do have a fixed election date law legislation that mandates this. But because Parliament can be, it could just be, can end at any point if a particular government loses the confidence of the majority of members in the House of Commons, then it falls. Then we go in election. So this law is kind of there as a guideline or suggestion, really. So it can be at any point. And by
Hmm.
convention or federal campaigns, the minimum, I want to say it's 35 days. I should know this, but it's just a little over a month. That's the minimum length of time for a federal campaign, and typically that's what we go with, because honestly, that's enough.
Okay.
Mm,
Yes, I think it would be much better if ours was much shorter instead of months
right,
on end, like even a year. But
that's right. So
anyway,
in the
I was just
shorter
curious how
campaign,
that
that's
worked
why
out.
they tend to be later in the campaign, and this one was short, not shorter, but it was because of the Donald Trump issue and precipitating
Mm,
things that we were going to, I mean, we were kind of headed for the fall. to be an election. So the parties, the machinery and the bureaucracy of each party, they'd been working on their platforms with a view to an election in the fall. But because of Trump and the tariffs and the 51st state nonsense,
Hmm.
so that kind of precipitated things because the liberals who are in government thought, well, with a very unpopular leader who then wind up leaving, new leader comes in, figures, and that's not unreasonable to think, I need a fresh mandate from the population. Are they okay with me leading this? And what do they really want me to go and negotiate for them? So that's why the campaign was earlier than everyone kind of expected 6 months
Pushed
ago
up, yeah.
and pushed up, and so
Right,
that
you're
causes
welcome.
people to
From the
scramble
United
quite a bit.
States, yeah.
No, right? But
Yeah,
we
glad we
may
could
just
help with
get
that, you know?
yeah, yeah. I'm really hoping beyond because I try not to be too partisan. I may have my ideological preferences, and I'm not shy to share those. But I try not to be partisan. I want good people, good ideas, and from
Right.
by anyone. I'll take them from clearly anyone. We just agreed with a conservative piece of policy. Um, but I also want good, healthy debates between the two dominant parties. We have five in the House of Commons, but the two dominant ones. It's good to have push and pull and checks and balances between the different parties, unlike what you have in your
Yes.
Congress, which is more there's more of a
We're
line there.
we're running wild, yeah.
Right, right. So it's good to have good people on two, three, four, five sides arguing for the best way that
The
they see of
good.
going forward for the good of everyone. We don't agree on everything, clearly, but it's good to
Hmm.
hear all the arguments, and then you have a better sense of, well, okay, so that would be better than this one, and da da da. And so that way, it's incremental, it's slow, and it's kind of chaotic and a little messy, but it can lead to better outcomes in the end that are more satisfactory
Eh,
to the people in the middle.
a It's a balance, you know? I don't
Exactly.
necessarily
Yeah.
agree with everything of one side, but you've gotta kind of fight it out to get to the middle.
Right.
What's best for everyone? And, our seesaw has just it's seed,
And
We're
it
like,
polarized. That's
we've
right.
gotta get some balance
In the
in the
United
whole
States,
world. And
polarization, I know, and it's like you're either really way far to the left or way far to the right. And I think that in
right,
Canada, we're seeing maybe that's not so great. Maybe we should
it's not a good idea.
like get closer a little bit. We don't have to agree on everything, but how about like we stay closer together? And this may be salutary. And if it works well for Canada, this gives ideas to other countries, and maybe this is how Canada can lead the
Hopefully
world.
we're Hopefully we're taking notes on that. We've backed ourselves
Yeah.
into a corner with China, and they came out and said, if you go behind our backs and make a deal with the United States on these
Hmm.
imports and tariffs, then you're going to have to deal with China. And who
Hmm.
doesn't rely on
Yeah.
China for well, I
Especially.
say everything, but your tech and
Yeah.
so many things come from
It
China.
sucks to
And
be
I think
Vietnam right now. Vietnam has a
yes, we have
lot of
made
manufacturers, like Nike has a huge footprint in Vietnam. And these folks
uh,
have jobs making sneakers and whatever else Nike produces in Vietnam. And what are they going to do if there's a war between Vietnam and China?
right.
Mm.
It's an
So,
interesting
mm,
quagmire we have here.
yes, we don't half-ass anything, do we? When
No,
we
no,
go
no.
down, we
We're
go
going
real down.
all or none. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else I forgot to ask you?
I, I think we're good. We covered
We're
what was
good.
going on
All
here in
right.
Huntsville. We've got I think a protest every week,
Right.
every day this week. Excuse me.
Hmm.
Um, Cousin was telling me, and I had no idea we had so many protests in Huntsville, but we're going to keep making noise down here until you get back to join us.
Yes. I was at a picnic on Saturday. It was lovely meeting all these folks fighting for, what's good for everyone. So I
Right, right. Everybody trying to get
wish
on
you
the
all the
same
best.
page.
All right. So I'll talk to you next
Thank you.
week.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Safe travels. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.